Good afternoon, guys. This is attorney Philip Adams with the law offices of Philip Adams here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I want to explore an interesting issue involving the constitutionality of a Louisiana criminal law, specifically the law that prohibits sexual conduct between an educator and a student under Louisiana Revised Statute 14:81.4. Now, I think that this law is arguably unconstitutional. Before you get up in arms, let me explain why. This statute only criminalizes sexual conduct between an educator and a student of the age of consent. And to the extent that this statute criminalizes the performance of private, consensual, non-commercial acts of sexual intimacy between individuals who are otherwise legally capable of consent, I think this law is unconstitutional. So let me illustrate some of the ramifications of this law that you might actually find surprising. I typed up a hypothetical and I'm going to read through it. So let's suppose Jane Doe is a student at school A and teacher Jack is a teacher at that same school. Teacher Jack is not a teacher of Jane and does not have any classes with Jane because she is only taught by other teachers at the same school. Jane is 20 years old. She's of the age of consent. In Louisiana, being 17 years of age or older is the age of consent for sexual intercourse. So Jane is 20 years old. She's an adult, in other words. Teacher Jack is also an adult who is 25 years old. So he's only 5 years older than Jane. And Teacher Jack just graduated from college with a bachelor's degree, and he is teaching his first semester at this school. Teacher Jack and Jane Doe somehow meet. They develop a relationship. They eventually have sexual intercourse. They're not married. Teacher Jack is never alleged to have used his position of trust or authority as a teacher to somehow coerce or exploit Jane Doe into having intercourse with him. The intercourse is fully voluntary with no coercion involved. They're not even in the same classroom, as I mentioned, and he doesn't teach her in any capacity at the school. Basically, we've got two individuals who are both adults who willingly and voluntarily engage in sex as consenting adults, and they have no other connection to each other aside from happening to be at the same school. Now, eventually somebody at the school finds out about this relationship between 25-year-old teacher Jack and 20-year-old Jane Doe, a student, not one of his students, but a student nevertheless at the school, and reports Jack for violating Louisiana Revised Statute 14:81.4. If you look at this statute and you read through the letter of the law, Jack would indeed have violated Louisiana Revised Statute 14:81.4. He is therefore arrested. He is distraught because he did not realize he was violating the law by engaging in a relationship with Jane, a 20-year-old student of the age of consent who he doesn't even teach, who's only 5 years younger than him. If you want to understand why the law is violated, in this context, you simply have to read the law and keeping in mind that in Louisiana, the age of consent is 17 years of age or older for somebody to legally be able to engage in sexual intercourse with someone else. Now, the law is quite detailed. I'm not going to read through it, but if you'd like to read through it, you can look it up and see for yourself what it actually prohibits. It literally prohibits sexual conduct between two consenting adults in this context. And I believe that the law is arguably unconstitutional on its face, meaning in its entirety. And if not that, then certainly within the fact patterns of this hypothetical scenario, it would be unconstitutional, and that it would violate a vital interest in liberty that adults have that is protected by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and two, violates the 14th Amendment's guarantee of equal protection of the laws embodied in the U.S. Constitution, and then three, constitutes an infringement of the right to privacy embedded in the U.S. Constitution. Now, a detailed analysis of this statute would be beyond the scope of this short video clip, because the sheer length that would be required to adequately explore this topic. But if you or somebody you know is charged with Louisiana Revised Statute 14:81.4, don't let your constitutional rights potentially be violated. It's important to contact a knowledgeable attorney for help. Take care.